Guest was named Detroit Poet Laureate by Mayor Mike Duggan earlier this year, and in her new role, Jessica Care Moore is responsible for composing poems for special city events and occasions. She's also the founder of Black Women Rock, which is an annual show that honors women in rock and roll. This year's performance at the Fillmore Detroit on August 31st is going to mark the event's 20th anniversary. Here's my conversation with Jessica Care Moore. So let's start with the appointment to be the Poet Laureate of Detroit, which I just think is wonderful.
Thank you.
Tell me about it.
I mean, it's exciting because people ask me what it means, People like, we haven't had a Poet Laureate since Naomi Long Madgett. And so I, of course, knew, Naomi Long Madgett since I was a little girl and a young poet, coming up in the ranks in my early 20s. And then other people said, well, what do you do? Is it your job now? So I feel like it is what you make it. I'm honored for the title, but I have lots of plans but to do great work with the city. I want to do something with, I'm doing work with literacy. I have a program that actually my son started called the 12 and Under Super Cool Poetry Open Mic. And he's outgrown it. My King is going to college. And we realized that void isn't being filled anymore. So I'm going to host, we're going to look for a new host, and I'm going to do these workshops for young people, 12 and under. I think it's an underserved population.
It is.
Poetry is a great tool for learning, for increasing literacy and getting people writing.
So, I mean, you do so many different things. Tell me what it is that draws you to poetry and what you get out of it.
I can't seem to get it out of my body. I feel like it's been in my body since I was 9 or 10 years old. The poems are in there. It's a release. It's a healing. And I love how it touches other people. You can read a novel and be moved, but when you hear a poet speak and you read a poet's work, I think it just inspires people. And it's a very succinct thing, it's normally my poems 2-3 minute long stories, right? And I think because that's accessible art, it's accessible in a way that I get it. I don't like to, I read nonfiction and memoir. I don't read a lot of fiction. But poetry was something as a little girl I could get a hold of. And I understood Alice Walker early. I got a hold of those. And Ntozake Shange early, like 14, 15 years old. And it was something I could process. And so I just like the fact this is an accessible art form, and it's really for everyone.
And of course, you were coming up on Black Women Rock's 20th anniversary. That seems impossible that you've been doing this for 20 years, but that's true, right?
Yeah, and clearly I started when I was a teenager. 20 years ago, in Atlanta, Georgia, I was a young producer for the National Black Arts Festival, and I saw a void in the festival, and a lot of festivals, even with Black festivals that have writers and poets and playwrights, they didn't have an electricity. They didn't have that thing that I was on the rock scene in New York City. And I wanted to bring some of that energy to Atlanta at National Black Arts Festival. And I wanted to celebrate Betty Davis. I learned about her through Questlove and some of the MCs like Talib Kweli. They think I look like her, whatever. She could be my fine auntie with afro. And I looked her up and I found her music, and she did so much to inspire Miles Davis and help to create jazz fusion and really change Miles' work. And she is an unsung hero of funk rock music. So this concert, and I didn't expect to be doing it 20 years later because why should I still have to? But the reality is these women like Joy, even Nona Hendrix or Kimberly Nicole, Stephanie Christian, these are women who make music and it's their lifeblood. Divinity Rocks, Nick West. Nick West is coming up a Lenny Kravitz tour. Divinity Rocks was musical director for Beyonce. So these are not women who are they've done stadiums, but they come and do this show with me because I put them in front. And I know that it's an all headliner show. It's going to be a master blaster. It was my dream to have the Fillmore. I'm so grateful to the Fillmore to put me on that marquee because the women deserve the marquee. And I'm doing this as a labor of love. It's not like I have all this corporate sponsorship because I don't. I have very little money, using my own money this year to help make it happen. And it just means a lot to me.
You said that you feel like you have to still do this.
Yes.
Talk about that dynamic. Are things changing? Have they gotten better? Or do you feel like you're in the same spot you were 20 years ago?
I mean, it's gotten better because we're better, because this movement is bigger, and that there's women saying, "Oh, Jessica, do you know Stephen Henderson? Oh, do you know Jackie Vincent?" And that, so the beauty of us has grown. Our community has grown. We're growing. The world has to catch up with us. It's still the problem. Black radio, urban radio doesn't play Black rock music. It's a ridiculous thing. It's our music. It belongs to us. They
We
don't play.
invented it, right?
Yeah, so and even so we always do an art exhibition, and you've been seeing the show. It's a huge show. We got full draw, we got trombones and trumpets and saxophone this year. Leslie Vonner's coming out. She's been with Beyonce for many years now. She started with us first. She's coming to play trumpet with us. And yeah, and so it's like 12 to 15 piece orchestra, like when do you ever see that with all Black women?
Right.
And
right.
yeah, and the rock stations don't play us. Shout out to Riff. Like, Riff, give us some spins. Bring me on to talk about this thing called rock and roll. I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a few years ago, and I saw Annie Lennox, and I saw Pink and Dolly Parton. They're all on stage, and I was like, "Do y'all see who's missing here?"
Yeah, right.
And it's
right.
it's the elephant in the room that needs to get fixed. And so Rosetta Tharpe, we're honoring her this year, of course, with our exhibition Up Above Our Heads is the name of the exhibition. That opens on the 28th of August. So it's a full weekend. It's the 28th. We open at the Motivational Museum, a beautiful new gallery, Joe Campo and Hamtramck that my brother Khalil has. We'll have the art exhibition there. A kind of a timeline of the history of Black Morocco will be included this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then the concerts on the 31st. And on September 1st, we have a free community event where we'll have sound bath, healing, because this work is hard work. And so we want to take care of each other. We want to have a safe space where women can tell their stories. And truly, like the Sunday event, it starts at 9:30 in the morning, goes till 1. Right before the women get on the planes, we just try to love on them and just gather and talk about this thing called surviving being a Black artist woman in America. It's a very real thing. There's a lot of us. When India got her deal, I remember, there's a lot of India Iris. India is magnificent. There's other Black girls that play guitar. Come on, and so it's an educational, weapon. A concert, disguise. It's an educational tool disguised as a concert. Because we want to change people's idea and perception of what rock and roll music is. And so I'm excited to do it here in Detroit. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, it's a huge deal that it happens here. Let's talk about the film that you've done. Like I said, you do all kinds of things. You got a lot of
interdisciplinary.
Yeah, right.
Sure. He looked like a postcard. I wrote the film. Kasim Basir is my director. I read him the script during COVID just to get some feedback. He loved the script. He said, "Jessica, I want to direct. Can you find us a producer?" So fast forward to 2022, I found a producer. I realized I was a film producer. I never, produced a film before. Now I know how to do it. I've gotten this to the finish line in post. It's still in post. I'm really honored. We're nominated for Best Feature at the Martha Vineyard Film Festival. We were American Black Film Festival already. A Detroit premiere has happened already, and I'm ready to get a distribution deal. Yeah. So it's a poet and a painter love story. It's a love story to my city. I show Detroit in a beautiful way. All the muralists from Sidney James and Mario Moore and different artists their work is inside the film. Motown is the character. He plays a painter, but Adjania Cortez, it's her work that he's pretending to paint.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
And it's loosely based on my own life. It's about me coming home to Detroit and trying to find a way to make a living as a poet here. 10-month-old baby. And I have, but I didn't know how I was going to do it at first.
Right.
It's a self-love story more than anything else.
Yeah. So film or poetry, which is the more satisfying for you?
Oh, well, it's all a poem, Even the film is one long poem. Institution building is my thing, I'm always going to be a poet, but I like to build institutions. And I like to push other people forward. So More Black Press, my publishing house since 97, now has this deal with HarperCollins. And so I have a great poet named Brad Warron with a book that's coming out called Everywhere Alien, a really important voice in the LGBT community, really important voice from the 90s, New York scene I came out of. He's a fierce, fierce poet. You've got Jericho Brown and Patricia Spears Jones, and everyone endorsing this book. He's going to be published in The Atlantic. Really excited. So
Yeah.
if it's just me, it's not exciting for me.
Yeah.
I like the institution. The film, what I loved about filmmaking is that I couldn't do it by myself.
Right. Well, right.
Yeah,
Quite an
it's hard
undertaking.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think storytelling doesn't have to stop with books. You know, it has to, and we're a multimedia world, so visuals are just a part of it. I think I'm just beginning as a filmmaker, and I don't think I haven't touched the surface of what I'll end up doing. I'm very excited, and I'm co-star of the film. Me and Tobias Trevelyan. Tobias is an amazing actor, and I learned a lot working with him. I was really nervous.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm good live on a theater stage, but film is very
It's
different.
different, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my nephew is the child star, Jada Anthony Moore. My nephew auditioned and got the role of my son.
Oh, wow.
And my son King is in the film. He plays my son Idris later in life. So just he's a one scene, my big boy King. But my nephew is the child star in the film.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
right. Great. All right, Jessica, you have a million things going on. They're all really interesting, all really great. But I'm glad you could come by and talk with us on American Black Journal.
Absolutely honored. And then you come out and see me, please. I'd love for you to be in the audience.
Okay. Absolutely.